not in this DLC means that it's never gonna come into the game.
Wait.
They could do a Cenozoic pack.
They could do a Cenozoic
pack. They could do a Cenozoic pack.
What?
Jurassic World Evolution 2 is getting a Prehistoric Marine Species DLC, but one of the most famous prehistoric marine species is missing. That got me thinking about other missing species. Nothosaurus sets a precedent for missing on-screen dinosaurs being added to the game in DLCs unrelated to the source material where we first saw the species. This is something I actually mentioned as a possibility in my perfect DLC video from a few months back. Put the Tarbosaurus in this DLC, put Nothosaurus in a future creature pack, put Spinoceratops in a hybrid DLC, and put Smilodon in a mammal pack. Since that is exactly what is happening now with Nothosaurus, I think it's fun to speculate what this could mean for the other missing species, namely Tarbosaurus, Smilodon, Spinoceratops, and Microceratus. My beloved. Let's say that Frontier does indeed intend to add all of these in future DLCs unrelated to Camp Cretaceous and Jurassic World Dominion. Because I do think them adding Nothosaurus here shows a continued effort to represent all on-screen species in their game. And the fact that Nothosaurus has been lifted from Camp Cretaceous and put in here also makes it very unlikely that a second Camp Cretaceous DLC will be the way to get its last 3 missing species in. So in this video, I want to talk about what kind of DLCs Frontier might have up their sleeve to sneak these 4 species into the game. Before we start, it's important to say that I'm not trying to steal the Marine Species Pack's thunder or imply in any way that the DLC is no good because no Megalodon. That is not at all the point of this video. I'm very excited about the upcoming pack and free update, and if you are too, consider subscribing to the channel. This is just an interesting conversation / speculation to share as we wait for the pack, specifically for the dunk, to launch on Thursday. Smilodon would be the most controversial one to make it into the game, being a Cenozoic mammal. As the Megalodon incident has revealed, people assume that animals from after the age of the dinosaurs are off limits, and some prefer it that way, with the argument being that they would stand out like a sore thumb. I would have agreed. In fact, in the past I have agreed if the Smilodon had come in a Camp Cretaceous pack as the only Cenozoic animal in the game. But I have been swayed by the many people pointing out that one of the most wanted species and one of the missing Camp Cretaceous species could form the perfect basis to make a Cenozoic pack a reality. And a pack of 4 Cenozoic species could then be the foundation of a themed Cenozoic area within your park. All of a sudden, it's a lot less weird to have these creatures come into the game. Other species could be the woolly mammoth, woolly rhino, Paraceratherium, Andrewsarchus, a species of terror bird, a species of Glyptodon. Obviously, only 2 of those species would make it in, along with the Smilodon and the Megalodon, but just to say there are plenty of iconic prehistoric species to choose from. As the Megalodon incident has also shown, a lot of people really want the Megalodon to come into the game, and fans of Camp Cretaceous are also eager to have all of the show's on-screen animals portrayed in the game. I think a DLC with Megalodon and Smilodon, along with 2 other Cenozoic species, would sell like hotcakes. Let me know in a comment down below if you would buy a Cenozoic pack and what sort of species would most want to make you buy such a pack. I will admit that it would be the most unusual pack to date, and by no stretch am I claiming that a Cenozoic pack will definitely happen. But Cenozoic creatures aren't that odd and out of place in the franchise to just dismiss them when you consider a couple of factors. First being the Dimetrodon and Lystrosaurus, which are very unlike any other species in the game, and yet their on-screen presence was clearly understood by everyone to mean that they had to come to the game. And they did. The same could very likely be the case for Smilodon. And let's not forget that the LAStudios is not an on-screen franchise animal, so there was no expectation of it being added. And yet, it was still added, even though it is the only fish and the only species from the Devonian. So the whole "it doesn't fit with the rest" argument is kind of flimsy. As I pointed out on Twitter, Dunk is further removed in time from the dinosaurs than the Megalodon, so to declare that the Dunk makes sense and the Megalodon doesn't is drawing a pretty arbitrary line. Who decides that species in the game can only be from the Cretaceous and earlier? Just because that's what we have so far? Well, previously you could say we can only have species from the Cretaceous to the Permian. because that's what we had. Or you could have said, all marine species have to be aquatic reptiles, because that's what we had. But then the dunk happened. Why would the Cenozoic be off limits in a game called Jurassic World Evolution 2 that is mostly Cretaceous species anyway? Clearly, as we've all known since the book was published, Jurassic is in the title just because it sounds good. It doesn't really say anything about what kind of prehistoric species are gonna be part of the story. A lot of people say that the Cenozoic is off limits, but the only reasons they ever give for that are actually debunked by the dunk and by Dimetrodon and LAStudios. Frontier can add whatever species they think are cool and will sell DLCs. The same way in Universe, Dr. Wu just made whatever species was cool and sold entry tickets. Anything bigger and with more teeth. I mean, if it's more teeth that you want. Again, I'm not trying to claim here that it is a done deal, and I will readily admit that there are like some whiffs of copium. You know, if you sniff real good, you might smell a little bit of copium. But it's also very weird to me to see people just dismiss it entirely, just brush it off as impossible, based on things that I don't really think hold up that well. And I want to highlight something that was tweeted to me. Remember that Wallpaper Wednesday tweet that Frontier did that sparked the theory that the Mosasaurus wallpaper was a hint at a Lagoon DLC? Well, a pretty funny theory put forth by Ravian is that the 4th goat wallpaper is a cheeky hint at the next DLC, taking the creature roster into a more modern direction. It's pretty far-fetched, but I said the same thing about the Mosasaurus wallpaper theory, and that turned out to be true, so I gotta acknowledge it, and also it's just pretty funny to think about. The second missing species from Camp Cretaceous is the hybrid Spinoceratops. The movie franchise has steered away from hybrids, but Camp Cretaceous very much leaned into it, with Scorpius Rex being a very popular addition to the lore. Scorpius Rex and Spinoceratops were integral to that show. Now, the Spinoceratops we've only ever seen on screen as a juvenile, but Jurassic World the game already has an adult variant of it, and Frontier could do the same. Along with Spinoraptor, Stegoceratops, and Ankylodocus, the Spinoceratops would make the perfect 4-species hybrid pack. Now, having content from Jurassic World Evolution 1 sold back to us at full price would be icky to me. However, this is the company that chucked Huayangosaurus into the deluxe pack, so there is precedent for them expecting us to pay extra for something that they made and sold to us in 2018. The other and more palatable option would be if the hybrid DLC comes at a discount, or introduces 3 brand new Frontier-made hybrids and the old Jurassic World Evolution 1 hybrids are added for free. If this DLC would be turned into an expansion instead of a pack, they could do even cooler things with the concept of hybrids, which I talked about in a previous video of mine. We are now left with Tarbosaurus and Microceratus still waiting in the wings, and I'm lumping them together because they are both from Asia and thus could be 50% of an Asian species pack. There are so many species from Asia that would be exciting additions to the game. One of my personal most wanted species, Shantungosaurus, would finally have a perfect way to get added after missing out on being part of the late Cretaceous DLC. Other species that come to mind are Gigantoraptor, Microraptor, Psittacosaurus, Yangchuanosaurus, Fukuiraptor, Alioramus, Guanlong, Achillobator, Bebiosaurus, and I'm sure you can list even more that would be amazing to have in the game. There is so much to choose from, and honestly the only downside of an Asian species pack would be that it would never be big enough to introduce all of the Asian species that we would want. Personally, I'd say split it into an Asian carnivore pack and an Asian herbivore pack so we can get the most species. Just as long as you give me Shantungosaurus. Please. This is just wild speculation, of course, but I do think it's fun to think about, and I don't want to detract from the upcoming Prehistoric Marine Species Pack. I think that's absolutely great, but this topic just came up, and it was a very, very common comment in response to the DLC news, so I figured I would just address this right now as we wait with bated breath for the new DLC and free update to launch. By the way, if you want to see a full showcase on the DLC and the free update, that is of course coming to the channel, so subscribe to the channel if you want to see all of the new content and the creative builds that I will be doing with it. Thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and until next time, enjoy the game.